Figure 17 shows the creation of the solar system out of the ring of the divine eternity. The four A's are the abyss. B is the first revelation of God out of the abyss, and from this revelation C, D, E, F, and G were created. C and D represent the spiritual hierarchies. D and E, the upper worlds, or constellations. E and F, the distance from Jupiter to the upper worlds. F and G, the solar system with its planets and their heavens. B and C, the throne of Christ. Figure 18 describes the division according to Genesis of the waters above the heavens, D from the waters below A, B, and C. Figure 19 is the Mercury of the philosophers, essential to material existence. Table 13, Figures 1-4. Figure 1 is Ein Sof, the incomprehensible abyss of divine majesty, an endless welling up, limitless in time and space. Figure 2 symbolizes the three divine principles, Father, Son, and Holy Ghost. Around the triangle is written I shall be that I shall be. At the apex of the triangle is the word crown. In the left point, wisdom. In the right point, understanding. Figure 3 represents the Trinity with its outflow. The words above the upper sphere are revelation of the divine majesty in Jehovah Elohim. The lower circles contain the names of the hierarchies controlling the lower worlds. The words within the circle of stars read Lucifer, the son of the aurora of the morning. The letter C represents the universal Mercury. The words within the circle read the first beginning of all creatures. Figure 4 represents the abode of Lucifer and his angels, the chaos spoken of in Genesis. Table 14, Figures 5, 7, 8. Figure 5 shows the triangle of triune divinity in the midst of a cross. At the left is a small triangle containing the words The Secrets of Elohim, and at the right is another inscribed The Secrets of Nature. On the horizontal arms of the cross are the words The Tree of Life and The Tree of the Knowledge of Good and Evil. The plate explains the interblending of the spiritual and infernal powers in the creation of the universe. Figure 7 is called the Road to Paradise. It probably indicates the positions of the sun, moon, and planets at the moment of their genesis. Figure 8 is the earth before the flood, when it was watered by a mist or vapor. The words at the left are the Tree of Life. Those at the right, the Tree of the Knowledge of Good and Evil. The diagram with the symbol of Mars is devoted to a consideration of the rainbow. Table XV, Figure 6, 9, 10. Figure 6 is similar to Figure 5 and is called the Secret of Nature. An interesting diagram is shown on either side of the central figure, each consisting of a triangle with circles radiating from its points. The diagram on the left is called the Secrets of the Upper World, and the one on right the Secrets of the Underworld. Figure 9 is the solar system. Around the central part are the words The Place of the Damned. Figure 10 shows the dot, or point of rest, surrounded by a triangle enclosing a circle containing the names of the 12 tribes of Israel. It represents completion of the process of regeneration and the consummation of the great work. Alchemy and its exponents. I ask the transmutation of base metals into gold possible? Is the idea one at which the learned of the modern world can afford to scoff? Alchemy was more than a speculative art, it was also an operative art. Since the time of the immortal Hermes, alchemists have asserted, and not without substantiating evidence, that they could manufacture gold from tin, silver, lead, and mercury, that the galaxy of brilliant philosophic and scientific minds who, over a period of 2,000 years, affirmed the actuality of metallic transmutation and multiplication, could be completely sane and rational on all other problems of philosophy and science, yet hopelessly mistaken on this one point, is untenable. Nor is it reasonable that the hundreds declaring to have seen and performed transmutations of metals could all have been dupes, imbeciles, or liars. Those assuming that all alchemists were of unsound mentality would be forced to put in this category nearly all the philosophers and scientists of the ancient and medieval worlds. Emperors, princes, priests, and common townsfolk have witnessed the apparent miracle of metallic metamorphosis. In the face of existing testimony, anyone is privileged to remain unconvinced, but the scoffer elects to ignore evidence worthy of respectful consideration. Many great alchemists and hermetic philosophers occupy an honored niche in the Hall of Fame, while their multitudinous critics remain obscure. To list all these sincere seekers after nature's great arcanum is impossible, but a few will suffice to acquaint the reader with the superior types of intellect who interested themselves in this abstruse subject. Among the more prominent names are those of Thomas Norton, Isaac of Holland, Basil Valentine the supposed discoverer of antimony, Jean de Meung, Roger Bacon, Albertus Magnus, Constantius Gerber the Arabian who brought the knowledge of alchemy to Europe through his writings, Paracelsus, Nicholas Flamel, John Frederick Helvetius, Raymond Lilly, Alexander Sethon, Michael Sendivogius, Count Bernard of Treviso, Sir George Ripley, Picus de Mirandola, John D. Henry Conrath, Michael Mayer, Thomas Vaughan, J. B. von Helmont, John Hayden, Lascaris, Thomas Charnock, Cincius Bishop of Ptolemy, Moriu, the Comte di Cagliostro, and the Quanta Street Germain. There are legends to the effect that King Solomon and Pythagoras were alchemists and that the former manufactured by alchemical means the gold used in his temple. Albert Pike takes sides with the alchemical philosophers by declaring that the gold of the Hermetists was a reality. He says the Hermetic science, like all the real sciences, is mathematically demonstrable. Its results, even material, are as rigorous as that of a correct equation. The Hermetic gold is not only a true dogma, a light without shadow, a truth without alloy of falsehood. It is also a material gold, real, pure, the most precious that can be found in the mines of the earth. So much for the Masonic angle. William and Mary jointly ascended the throne of England in 1689, at which time alchemists must have abounded in the kingdom, for during the first year of their reign they repealed an act made by King Henry IV in which that sovereign declared the multiplying of metals to be a crime against the crown. In Dr. Sigismund Backstrom's collection of alchemical manuscripts is a handwritten copy of the act passed by William and Mary, copied from Chapter 30 of Statutes at Large for the first year of their reign. The act reads as follows: an act to repeal the statute made in the 5th year of King Henry IV, late King of England, wherein it was enacted, among other things, in these words, or to this effect, namely that none from henceforth should use to multiply gold or silver or use the craft of multiplication, and if any the same do they shall incur the pain of felony. And whereas, since the making of the said statute, divers persons have by their study, industry and learning, arrived to great skill and perfection in the art of melting and refining of metals, and otherwise improving and multiplying them and their ores, which very much abound in this realm, and extracting gold and silver are of the same, but dare not to exercise their said skill within this realm, for fear of falling under the penalty of the said statute, but exercise the said art in foreign parts, to the great loss and detriment of this realm be it. Therefore enacted by the King's and Queen's most excellent Majesties, by and with the advice and consent of the Lords Spiritual and Temporal and Commons in this present Parliament assembled, that from henceforth the aforesaid branch, article, or sentence, contained in the said Act, and every word, matter and thing contained in the said branch or sentence, shall be repealed, annulled, revoked, and for ever made void, anything in the said Act to the contrary in any wise whatsoever notwithstanding. Provided always, and be it enacted by the authority aforesaid, that all the gold and silver that shall be extracted by the aforesaid art of melting or refining of metals, and otherwise improving and multiplying of them and their ores, as before set forth, be from henceforth employed for no other use or uses whatsoever but for the increase of moneys. And that the place hereby appointed for the disposal thereof shall be their Majesties' Mint, within the Tower of London, at which place they are to receive the full and true value of their gold and silver, so procured, from time to time, according to the assay and fineness thereof, and so for any greater or less weight, and that none of that metal of gold and silver so refined and procured be permitted to be used or disposed of in any other place or places within their Majesties' dominions. After this repealing measure had become effective, William and Mary encouraged the further study of alchemy. Dr. Franz Hartmann has collected reliable evidence concerning 4 different alchemists who transmuted base metals into gold not once but many times. One of these accounts concerns a monk of the order of St. Augustine named Wenzel Seiler, who discovered a small amount of mysterious red powder in his convent. In the presence of Emperor Leopold I, King of Germany, Hungary, and Bohemia, he transmuted quantities of tin into gold. Among other things which he dipped into his mysterious essence was a large silver medal